at 6.
Healthcare in America. What are your rights? The fight over the new rules for HMOs. The suspected serial killer in Texas, another murder added to his name, and how a rookie Texas Ranger got his man. In depth, crime on cruises, public disclosures of possible sex crimes on the world's most popular ships, and your credit cards, how most Americans give up important rights without even knowing the fine print.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. If you're not happy with your HMO, you're not alone, but stay tuned. Changes are coming. The U.S. Senate is in the closing stages of a pitched debate on a patient's Bill of Rights. The Democrats are losing their battle to institute a massive overhaul, which Republicans claim would be too expensive. The Republican version does include some change, but not enough to satisfy President Clinton, who already is talking veto. This is a major political showdown. Here's NBC's Gwen Eiffel.
The Senate today moving forward on health care reform, but stopping far short of the sweeping HMO overhaul promised by Democrats in the White House. The Senate approving new measures to expand hospital coverage for women after mastectomies and allow self-employed individuals to deduct the cost of their insurance from their taxes. But other far-reaching proposals to cover 161 million Americans have been defeated. Among them, plans to let women choose obstetricians as their primary care doctors, extend coverage to dying patients seeking to take part in clinical trials, allow patients to go to the nearest emergency room for care, even if it's not part of their HMO plan. Nearly every Democrat voted for the more sweeping plan. Nearly every Republican voted against it.
We're going to transfer the entire regulatory authority of all the health insurance plans of America over to this governmental agency, to a bunch of bureaucrats thinking they can do a better job than all the states.
But Democrats, keeping one eye on health care policy and the other on the political ammunition they get if their popular proposals are defeated, forged ahead.
I dare say that the bureaucrats in the insurance industry are the ones that people are most concerned about. They know what they're doing. They're looking after the bottom line.
As the debate on the floor of the Senate grows more heated every day, doctors and patients are flocking to Capitol Hill to argue their case.
In the Senate, neither side appears to me to want a bill. I mean, they are not working toward a law that helps protect patients.
Beth Gross, a nurse from Virginia, brought her own story to the Capitol, saying her HMO denied her son access to a needed specialist.
I could not believe that I lived in a country that allowed an insurance company to be so ruthless with a child.
But government fixes, Republicans maintain, are not the solution. Democrats are prepared to lose tomorrow's final vote, and White House officials who call the Republican bill an absolute sham are already predicting a presidential veto. Gwen Eiffel, NBC News, the Capitol.
In Texas tonight, authorities are saying they believe the suspected serial killer now in custody is guilty of 9 murders altogether. His surrender yesterday ended one of the most intense manhunts in recent years. We have 2 stories tonight on the suspect and the legendary law officers who found him. We'll begin with NBC's Frederica Whitfield.
In court today, a confession from the accused serial killer. Rafael Resendez Ramirez is not his real name. He is Angel Maturino Resendez, a 39-year-old drifter, today charged with capital murder in the October slaying of an elderly woman in East Texas. In all, Maturino has been linked to 9 murders in 3 states. At this morning's hearing on a burglary charge connected with one of the murders, Maturino tried to enter a guilty plea.
Can all this be done very quickly so that I can say that I'm guilty?
The judge said no, because pleas are not allowed at bond hearings. Maturino also faces murder charges in Kentucky and Illinois, but has not yet been charged in 5 of the 6 Texas murder cases. That's because authorities are still gathering evidence. They have finger and palm prints matching those found at the crime scene, but are now awaiting results from blood and hair samples taken from Maturino overnight.
Well, if what we know about him is true, if the DNA comes back, then he is everyone's worst nightmare.
If convicted of just one of the murders in this state, Maturino could get the death penalty. Most here credit this man, Texas Ranger Drew Carter, for engineering Maturino's surrender after a month-long manhunt.
The surrender was voluntary.
Experts say Carter's strategy of befriending the suspect's family made all the difference.
You want to engender trust. You want them to understand the harsh reality of what they're dealing with and the potential dangers that the fugitive faces out there, which are very real.
And Maturino's court-appointed attorney says his surrender may be his best defense.
It might show that he's not responsible. It could show that he is. But anytime someone turns himself in, I think it is much in their favor.
Next week, police from the 3 states the accused serial killer is believed to have struck will meet in hopes of linking Angel Maturino Resendez to 9 brutal murders. Frederica Whitfield, NBC News, Houston.
This is George Lewis in Austin, where the Texas Rangers are getting high praise for solving this case. Sergeant Drew Carter hailed for his quiet pursuit of the suspected railroad killer.
Doing the job of a ranger, and that's something that I've wanted to do since I was 5 years old, so you can't help but sit back sometimes and just smile and, say, and I'm really doing this, I'm doing what I've always wanted to do.
From day one, Carter established a relationship with the suspect's family, visiting them in person, gently urging them to get the man now known as Angel Maturino Resendez to turn himself in. Not many get that opportunity. Carter is one of only 107 Texas Rangers. These cadets in the police academy will have to be state troopers for 8 years before they can apply to the Rangers, and only 4 or 5 each year will be accepted into the elite unit. The Texas Rangers haven't always had a reputation for methodical investigations and painstaking negotiation. This scene from the movie Bonnie and Clyde depicts the way the Rangers used to operate.
Back in the old days, it was more shoot first, ask questions later. These days, as in this case, it's talk first, then shoot if you have to.
He says that in the case of the suspected serial killer, Carter exemplifies the new style of the Texas Rangers.
It was words, not bullets, that solved this problem and got Mr. Ramirez into custody, and we're proud of that.
Nobody hurt, no shots fired, and the goal achieved. And so I would classify that as a success.
The early Rangers had 6 shooters. Sergeant Carter's most potent weapon, the cell phone that let him build a friendly relationship with the suspect's sister and let her alert Carter a surrender was imminent. Carter says it was the relationship he built up with the suspect's family over time that allowed this case to end with a surrender instead of a shootout. George Lewis, NBC News, Austin.
In California tonight, another name for a woman who's in a world of trouble. The woman who lived a respectable upper-middle-class life as Sarah Olson in Minnesota was in a federal courtroom today as someone else altogether, a fugitive from the dangerous days of the 70s. Here's NBC's Pete Williams.
It's the very place she tried to evade for 23 years. In a California courtroom today, lawyers for the woman who calls herself Sarah Olson admitted she's actually someone else. Kathleen Solia, part of a violent 70s radical group called the Symbionese Liberation Army. Since 1976, when she was charged with planting bombs that never went off under Los Angeles police cars, she's been on the run, reinventing herself as a Minnesota housewife and mother. Then the FBI caught up with her a month ago. Prosecutors in California wanted her held in jail until trial, but the judge set bail, $1 million. Family and friends from Minnesota came to the Los Angeles court today to say whatever she was like 2 decades ago, she's so strongly tied to her home life now that she would never run off again.
That was then, this is now. She has 3 children, she has a husband, she has a community, friends. There's no life for her if she were to flee.
But legal scholars say officials face a much bigger task trying to prosecute a 23-year-old case. Witnesses die, memories fade, and the jury may wonder why all the fuss over a woman who, by all accounts, is now a model citizen.
One of the biggest hurdles for the prosecution is getting over the jurors thinking, why do we care? This happened so long ago. She's remade her life. Why are we here?
Even so, many legal experts say it would set a bad example for prosecutors to give up now.
It would send the signal that if you hide out long enough, if you refuse to cooperate with the justice system, that all will be forgiven when you're eventually caught.
And Kathleen Solia may face more legal trouble over a 1975 bank robbery that left a customer dead.
Her lawyers insist she was not involved, but investigators say whatever name she goes by now, she has much more to answer for from her past life. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
When we come back, danger at sea. NBC News in depth tonight. The world's largest cruise line reveals dozens of alleged sexual assaults on its ships. What you need to know before you get on board.
They can't simply assume that because they're on the high seas, because they're on a big boat, they're not at risk.
Shocking allegations tonight about sex crimes on cruise ships. Important information in depth. Later, why you probably are among the many who have lost the right to sue your credit card company and didn't even know it, but it is all there in the fine print.
Now, an important tool in defending yourself against heart disease and some cancers is in your hands. Because there's new news. The FDA now agrees that eating whole grain foods like Total, Wheaties, and Cheerios as part of a low-fat diet may reduce your risk of heart disease and certain cancers. Most cereals aren't whole grain, but all of these from General Mills are. Look for this seal to be sure and help defend yourself against heart disease and cancer.
From a small clog to a major problem. Next time, call a trained roto-rooter plumber to fix it.
Sound is free. And so is our hearing test. Belltone invites you to hear what you've been missing. Call today for a free hearing test. Belltone. Listen again.
Now, from Seabond Denture Adhesive comes a fresh new hope. New Seabond Natural Fresh. Natural mint freshness and a soft, thin seal that bonds dentures to gums. Original and new Seabond Natural Fresh.
They're here, filled with aroma and flavor, only they're waiting to be released by you. Introducing Folgers new whole bean coffee. Every time you grind these beans, you release something sensational, a deeper, richer aroma. This is Arabica bean perfection in a whole different Folgers, the whole bean Folgers. New Folgers premium whole bean coffees. They're waiting.
Dateline Wednesday. They're wild, crazy, and out of control.
Oh, yeah!
Extreme athletes pushing life to the edge.
Well, man, that rush is it's like nothing I've ever felt before.
How far will they go for the ultimate rush? Amazing stories of risk, adrenaline, and survival. Dateline's Daredevil Hour, Wednesday, 8/7 Central on NBC.
NBC News in depth tonight. More allegations of crime on cruise ships. Carnival Cruise Lines, the world's largest cruise company, now has made a stunning admission about the number of alleged sexual assaults on board its ships. Ships that sail in international waters where American laws can't be enforced. Last year, Carnival carried 1.5 million passengers. That's approximately 1 out of every 4 cruise passengers. Now, it charges that crime can follow you all the way to the high seas. NBC's Carrie Sanders tonight, reporting in depth.
Cruise ships promise an escape from the real world, paradise on the water. But court papers filed in Miami now reveal the biggest cruise line, Carnival, may have sailed on troubled waters. Allegations of sexual assault, including rape. Carnival Cruise Line compelled by a Florida judge in a civil case to document 5 years of alleged sexual assaults by crew members. In all, there were 62, a rate of almost 1 alleged sexual assault a month, involving casino dealers, dining room waiters, cabin stewards, of passengers and other crew members that until now have never been disclosed.
What these numbers do is to show that Carnival has been hiring people that it should not hire.
Attorney Gary Fox represents the woman whose civil lawsuit resulted in Carnival's disclosures. While the numbers are not large, in the context of crime in America, critics say crime at sea is far different than on land. The average ship population is almost 3,000. A town of a similar size has roughly 4 police officers, a chief, and 5 dispatchers, investigating an estimated 3 cases of rape a year. But on cruise ships, there is no police force, only cruise security, and American laws do not apply in international waters.
When a victim comes forward, they will, in certain situations, investigate, but they do so always as Carnival employees.
Carnival Cruise Line says it investigates all charges of sexual assault. The new disclosures are unconfirmed allegations, and company lawyers say the woman in question was not sexually assaulted. Rather, it was consensual sex.
These are allegations of sexual assault required to be disclosed in this lawsuit that's being brought by a crew member alleging a sexual assault by another crew member in her cabin who she invited in there and who she got into bed with in her underwear, with him in his underwear after 6 odd hours together in the cabin.
The woman denies it was consensual. Carnival Cruise Lines fought in court to stop the disclosure of these alleged incidents. Experts saying it might discourage other passengers from booking vacations on what is the fastest growing segment of the leisure travel business. Kerry Sanders, NBC News, Miami.
One more note tonight. There are no reliable figures available on the extent of crime on all cruise ships because ships are registered for the most part in foreign countries and not required to report all criminal accusations to authorities in this country. Up next, Flashpoint. The government strikes back in Iran, massive rallies and now protests against democracy. What does it mean for us here in this country? And later, the distinguished gentleman from Minnesota, Governor Jesse Ventura. What is he up to now?
Around here, it's not every day we all get together.
We're making them dinner. Come on, you guys.
But when we do, it's great that the folks at Kraft make Italian.
I love this stuff.
Because it's the one thing we agree on. That way, we can talk about what's on our minds instead of what's on our plates.
Whose idea was this? Well, Kale has a boyfriend.
I guess they just know what we like.
A what? He's a senior. He's a senior.
Around here, the dressing is Kraft. For something different, try one of Kraft's new vinaigrettes.
Chevy Tahoe, like a rock.
All right, kid. Here we go. 10-9. What do you got? What do you got? What? Yeah. All right, come on.
What would you do if someone you loved had a heart attack?
Yeah.
Did you know it's now been proven that the same Bayer aspirin you have in your bag for muscle aches may actually help stop you from dying if you take it during a heart attack?
Downtown. Lucky shot.
Can your pain reliever do that? Talk to your doctor now.
Next time I'll go easier on you.
Bayer, powerful pain relief and so much more.
When you buy a bargain basement PC, what you're really buying is a mystery box. Will there be a monitor? Probably not. Lots of software? Ha! A year on the internet, 24/7 tech support? Dream on. With a Gateway Essential PC, you know exactly what you're getting. Monitor, great software, award-winning tech support, and internet access for $28 a month or less than $1 a day. No mystery there. Call 1-800-GATEWAY for a Gateway Essential PC with an Intel Celeron processor.
Why do I have Aflac insurance on top of my regular health insurance? Because he has his mother's eyes. Because I still have to teach him to whistle. And because Aflac helps cover what other insurance doesn't. If I'm injured, Aflac even provides cash to help pay bills. So why do I have Aflac? Did I mention he has his mother's eyes? Aflac supplemental insurance. Without it, no insurance is complete.
Under the boardwalk, boardwalk.
Tomorrow, life's a beach. Katie goes under the boardwalk while Matt goes down by the sea. Join us tomorrow on Today.
Get more of the Today Show with Later Today, coming in September.
There was a dramatic construction accident in Milwaukee tonight. A giant crane being used to build a new ballpark for the Milwaukee Brewers baseball team collapsed and fell onto the stadium's roof. The construction crew was trying to lift a section of the roof when the crane, the workers call Big Blue, toppled. There are no reports of injuries, but the park's scheduled opening next season could be set back as a result of this In another part of the world, it was another night in Iran that looked like something from a generation ago. Tens of thousands of protesters in the streets of the capital, Tehran. But unlike yesterday's rally, this time it was pro-government hardliners doing the protesting. And that raises serious questions about the democracy movement that has burst to life. Here's NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
After a week of pro-democracy and anti-government protests that spiraled out of control, today the government's Islamic hardliners staged their own massive anti-democracy rally. They chant once again, "Death to America." Until today, student protesters controlled the streets, starting fires, throwing rocks, demanding press freedoms, speedier reforms. They say security forces killed at least 5 students, arrested hundreds more.
They're bright. They understand what is happening in the world. They watch the forbidden satellite dishes. And they want to be part of the world.
The Iran most Americans remember, the revolution. Islamic fundamentalists take over the American embassy, hold 52 Americans hostage for 444 days. That was 2 decades ago. But now Iran's population is 65 million, half of them born since the revolution. Bruce Langen, a former hostage, sees a very different Iran today.
I think it was going to be very hard for the hardliners, the more conservative elements, to put a brake on what the students are talking about.
The new generation overwhelmingly supports moderate President Khatami, fighting with hardliners for control. But this week, he warns protesters they have gone too far. The outcome critical to the U.S., long the target of Iranian-sponsored terror. So the question tonight, will hardliners be able to contain the rebellion and keep Iran in a fundamentalist time lock? Or what if the reformers win?
Then many of the tensions, the support of terrorism, the subversion of states, the assassinations, and the threat to the existing regimes in the region would diminish.
But tonight, ominous signs. Iran threatens to execute student leaders and retaliate against foreign governments that support them. At stake, the very future of democracy in Iran. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the State Department.
And on Wall Street, a mixed day today. The Dow lost ground just under 27 points, but it was a good day for tech stocks. That sent the NASDAQ soaring almost 40 points to a new record close. Up next, hidden in your monthly stack of bills, a major change in the fine print that could take away some of your rights. What you need to know.
Let's try the hefty 1-zips, please.
It's easy.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Now let's try the other bag, please. No, ma'am. That's still the hefty 1-zip. Please put down the hefty 1-zip. Can you hear me in there?
Have to make up your mind. Hey, you know what?
What?
I'm out of 1-zips. Can I have some more?
Hefty 1-zip slider bags. You slide it, you're done.
There are a whole lot of cereals that don't have a whole lot of whole grain. Of these leading cereals, only one is made with 100% whole grain. Only Wheaties. So only Wheaties gives you 100% whole grain nutrition. Maybe that's why only Wheaties has Tiger Woods.
Whole grain makes the difference.
And 100% whole grain makes it Wheaties.
Itchy allergic rash? The dermatologist I work for recommends Cordate. It stops the itch and helps heal the rash to restore your skin. There's no brand doctors recommend more. In fact, doctors recommend Cordate more than 4-to-1 over Cortisone 10. Cordate, restore your skin.
I work out to keep my body in shape. To help keep my mind sharp, I take Quantera Ginkgo biloba. It helps me concentrate, maintain focus. Why Quantera? All ginkgos aren't the same. The patented Quantera extract was proven safe and effective by doctors in extensive clinical trials. And it increases oxygen supply to the brain. With Quantera mental sharpness, I feel my best. Naturally. If it's not clinically proven, it's not Quantera.
Discover the great-tasting fiber therapy that won't produce excess gas. Discover Citracel. People prefer the taste of Citracel over Metamucil 2-to-1. Taste tests prove it. Citracel. No excess gas and better taste, too.
The best way to cure athlete's foot so it won't come back is here. New Lamisil AT. So powerful, it does what no other brand can do. These take 4 weeks of treatment to kill the fungus. Lamisil AT is so powerful, with just 1 week's use, it stops the itching and burning and cures athlete's foot between the toes. So powerful, a clinical study showed 3 whole months later, most users were still athlete's foot free. Now without a prescription. New Lamisil AT, the best way to cure athlete's foot fast so it won't come back.
Coming up at 6, he left the state, but he couldn't escape the long arm of the law. The man accused of killing 2 Nashville women is now in custody, just as Metro Police meet with senior citizens to show them how they can avoid becoming crime victims. What you can do to protect yourself. The Scene at 6 is just minutes away.
There's proof tonight that you can take the wrestler out of the ring and even make him governor, but if he's Jesse Ventura, he won't stay away. Ventura, who is, of course, the governor of Minnesota, announced today that he'll return for a guest appearance in a pay-per-view wrestling show, but only as a referee. He'll give a portion of his $100,000 appearance fee to charity. There's no fine print when it comes to Jesse Ventura, of course. What you see is what you get. But it's another matter when it comes to your credit card bill. Read it or pay a price. Here's NBC's Lisa Myers.
It may seem like a delivery of routine monthly bills, but a very unpleasant surprise may lurk inside, and you probably don't even know it. Stuffed inside millions of American Express bills recently, buried in the fine print, this provision. It says if you use your card after June 1st, you give up your right to sue the company and agree to submit any dispute with it to arbitration. Do you realize that you just signed away your right to sue American Express?
No, I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware at all.
And Ted Trabue is a lawyer. See, it's right there. It's the arbitration provision. You don't remember seeing it?
No. And if I'd seen this flyer, I wouldn't have read it anyway.
Susan Shapiro didn't realize what she'd signed away either. And how do you feel about that?
Not happy. A little betrayed.
And it's not just American Express. Many credit card companies, banks, even computer companies have imposed arbitration policies to reduce lawsuits. These companies say arbitration by an independent third party is a faster, cheaper way than going to court and actually good for the consumer.
There have been some studies that indicate that the cost is about 10% of an equivalent lawsuit.
But not always. Consumer advocates say sometimes arbitration fees actually cost more than going to court. What's more, arbitration decisions generally are binding, no appeal, unless an award exceeds $100,000. Kathy Frerick says she unknowingly gave up her right to go to court and only found out months later when she tried to take her credit card company First USA to court.
I'm upset that they changed the card member agreement without my knowledge, because I think it shows how corporate America will do anything that hurts the consumer and makes it easier for them.
She's now challenging the arbitration clause itself. And trial lawyers who stand to lose big fees if this trend continues warn that consumers are the biggest losers.
A lot of big companies are adopting arbitration clauses with the goal of completely insulating themselves from any legal liabilities. It is a get-out-of-jail-free card for many big companies.
But it's also entirely legal. American Express says it's simply trying to keep card members happy and avoid long, nasty, and costly disputes. Consumers who don't like the new rules can always shop around for another credit card. Just be sure this time to read all the fine print. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Washington.
That's nightly news for this Wednesday night. Don't forget Dateline tonight at 8. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.
Now on the Scene at 6, it may not be unusual for teenagers to get tattoos, but the lengths that some teens went to for their skin art has landed one tattoo artist behind bars. That story right now on the Scene at 6. Also, one of Davidson County's top elected officials finds himself on the wrong side of the law. Tonight, find out what price he will have to pay.
Plus, is it a hoax or a celestial message from above? Tonight, there's more than just a big mystery lying in a Middle Tennessee field. We'll tell you about it right now on The Scene at 6.